I want to bring in MS Now's Laura Haefele and veteran financial journalist and MS Now business analyst Ron Insana. So, Ron, higher gas prices, higher fertilizer prices. We're not talking about luxuries here. We're talking about putting food on the table. Just how bad could this get?
Well, with respect to food prices, it's hard to know exactly where it goes, Chris, because it's obviously the cost of transportation pushes up the cost of food that's delivered to grocery stores. And then there's the fertilizer issue in the planting season that we're going through right now that's forcing some farmers to cut back on the amount of planting they're doing. So down the road, we could see something of a supply shock, although albeit a small one here in the United States, to the amount of, grains and other grown foods that are available. And in addition to that, you just got a broad-based now move upward in inflation. The energy price shock, if you will likely lead to $5 gasoline, irrespective of what the energy secretary had to say. We probably see that in the short run. And then that also bleeds over into other categories of goods, airline prices and so on and so forth. And so you're seeing this really become a more broad-based problem. Tomorrow we're going to get a consumer price report. Wednesday we'll get a wholesale inflation read. Friday we have Kevin Warsh likely taking over Jay Powell as chair of the Fed. He wants to lower interest rates. This is not exactly the environment in which that can happen.
And just last hour, Ron, the president said he wants to pause the federal gas tax and was asked about exactly that in the Oval Office. Here's what he said.
How long are you going to suspend that tax for?
Till it's appropriate, yeah.
Mr. President,
it's a small percentage, but it's still money.
How much of an impact could that have, Ron?
I believe it's about 18 cents per gallon nationally. So it's a modest impact. Obviously it's some help, but if you're going over $5, we'd be talking about record gasoline prices. Even if they were at $4.80, they'd still be flirting with record levels. And as we've heard from some reports here on MS, individuals are beginning to make choices between how much they fill up their tank and what they buy at the grocery store and what else they pay for or can pay for, particularly among middle and lower income families. So yeah, you can roll the tax back, for a period of time. But the president also said today that the ceasefire with Iran is on life support. So the longer this persists, the head of Saudi Aramco, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, said that the oil market might not get right until 2027 if this goes on even for just a couple more weeks.
Wow. And Laura, typically people in larger cities have at least some cheaper public transportation options. But you're in New York, where it's going to cost more just to take the ferry. What's going on?
Yeah, almost nothing is cheap in New York, but as oil barrel prices continue to rise, so do diesel prices, and that's exactly what New York waterway ferries run on. They tell me that since January, their cost for fuel has gone up 80%, Chris. So right now they're passing a 5.5% surcharge down to ticket holders to make up for those costs. And there's a lot of frustration with commuters, and that's in part because of what you just mentioned. They don't have a lot of choice in the New York, New Jersey area. They have to commute to work, whether that's the subway or driving through the tunnels or over the bridges. The ferry, actually one of the less expensive options, and now the price has gone up. It's adding insult to injury in one of the most expensive regions in the country, with cost of living like rental prices, housing prices, grocery prices all up. And now this, take a listen.
I think it's not temporary. Have you ever seen a price go down? Martinis are $34. I'm ever going to get a $20 martini again? I don't think so. And I don't think my price is going down for the ferry either. It's like the price is going to go up of things, and I just have to figure out how to do better, how to make more money and do good for my family.
Top of mind for New Yorkers, getting to work on time and the price of a martini. Now, look, this might sound like it's just a local issue. It's not. I reached out to San Francisco Bay Ferry, one of the most widely used ferry systems in the country. They're seeing the same issue. They're tackling a little bit differently. Instead of raising prices, they're going to reduce schedules so they don't use as much fuel. But just one more example of how widespread this issue is, Chris.
We love nothing more than an overcrowded ferry. Thank you for that, Laura Haefele. So, Ron, last week we reported that credit card debt hit an all-time high at the end of last year. But there are also now more people applying for new credit cards. Credit delinquency is rising. national credit scores are dropping. It seems to me, I'm no economist, as you well know, but there's a domino effect here. Even if prices did come down, if you're in delinquency, if you have a bad credit score, how long does it take you to get out of that hole?
Well, even one late payment will show up on your, Equifax or TransUnion or other credit, reporting surveys and could last for years, and it knocks your credit score down several points, if not more. And again, if those were to pile up over time, increasingly, your credit score plummets, and it makes it harder to obtain credit. It makes it harder to apply for a mortgage if indeed you're in the market for a house. So there's a domino effect here again, and it's largely middle income and lower income families. My colleague Steve Leisman over at CNBC was suggesting we're getting more and more evidence of the K-shaped economy becoming even more K-shaped. If you're in the top 10% of all wage earners, you're doing fine. You're absorbing these costs. But if you're in middle and lower income groups, it becomes increasingly difficult. And what you're doing is using credit cards to stretch your income in order to make payments on the things that you need on a day-to-day basis. And that becomes problematic if your wages are not going up. And we've just seen in the latest employment report that wages have begun to fall below the inflation rate, which makes it even more of a struggle for the average individual.